Hi folks, I just wanted to show you how you can quickly refurbish a cutting board. Even a cheap store-bought board can be refreshed. That's what I'll be doing here. I'll be using an old bamboo store-bought board that has definitely seen better days. You can see what it looked like on the left before doing anything to it. The right shows the refurbished version. You just need a way to sand it and to apply a finish. Stick around, let's get started. Here's a good view of what the board looks like. You'll see both sides. And there's a lot of gouges in it. It's uneven. So what we need to do first is to sand that down to a nice flat surface, getting rid of at least the deep gouges. And a board, you can do this many times on a board, of course, depending on the thickness of the board. I am using a drum sander, and obviously not everybody has a drum sander, but you certainly don't need one. You can use any handheld sander for this. You can even use a piece of sandpaper wrapped around a block of wood, and that will get the job done fine. It just takes a little bit more elbow grease to get that done. And you're going to see in this process, even with the drum sander, I run it through multiple times trying to get the finish where I want it. Basically, I just lower the head on the sander and just keep running it through. And it does take multiple passes. So this is my final pass with the 80 grit sandpaper that's on my drum sander right now. And you can see it has a pretty nice finish, but what I want to do is change the sandpaper over to a finer grit. So I'm going to go up to 120, and then I'll run it through several more passes. And this is after running it through the 120 grit on one side, and you can definitely tell the difference. I know it's hard to see on the screen, but one side is definitely much rougher than the other side. So I'm going to flip it over, and we will go ahead and do that last side, and then we'll be done with the 120.
Okay, so I've got my cutting board that I just ran through the sander, gotten a nice finish on it. I've wiped it down, try to get the extra sawdust off of it, make sure I have a good finish. And I'm going to be applying milk paints half and half, and it's a combination of tung oil and citrus solvent. I used it on a project earlier this year and really liked it, so we're going to give it a try here. It does take about 30 days to cure. That's the negative. You can use it after about a week or two, but you don't want to leave it in the water very much. But because this is a cutting board, I will probably go ahead and let it cure for quite a while, because it's going to get a lot of juicy things cut on it potentially. So I have these little plastic containers that are actually a chicken salad. We save these, and they make really good dishes for putting things like this in when you're using it. You could also put the lid on it and keep it, but we'll see. Probably won't need that. The nice thing about this citrus and tung oil is it has a really nice smell to it. And so what I'm going to do is use some of my stands here and go ahead and put a finish on it. And a little bit of this will go a long way. And it is instantly recognizable as making a difference. That's oftentimes the best part, I think, of a project, is to get that first coat of finish on it and see that color start to come out. It's a great, great moment. Okay, I'm applying fairly liberally, and then I'm going to let it sit for a few moments. Give it a chance to soak in. Of course, the tung oil is notorious, from what I understand at least, for taking quite a while to soak in. It's difficult to get into the wood based on its structure. The citrus oil helps thin it and get it to go ahead and apply like you want it to. But I want to make sure it has a chance to really sit and soak in before I wipe the excess off. And we will be doing multiple coats of this. So I'll be going back and applying it several times. I'll probably do 4 or 5 coats at least on this and just let it dry between coats.
But let's talk about the choice of finish. I like tung oil. It hardens as it dries and cures, and it gives a good water resistance. But most people probably use mineral oil, and that is a wonderful finish too. It just never fully cures. It's certainly cheap and easy to find and easy to apply. So if that's what you want, go with that. With whatever finish you use, just make sure it's food safe.
Okay, we've let this sit for several minutes now. So I'm going to go ahead and take off the excess oil. And once again, it's looking really nice. Really nice. There's a little bit of that excess oil. This side was already done, and you may have noticed some of the oil had started coming out of the cuts that were in here. That's a good thing. That tells me that there was oil down in there. I'd like to seal that up a little bit. All right, we've got one coat on each side now. Looking pretty good. I'm going to let this air dry just a little bit more, and then I'm going to repeat this process, and I'm going to do it about 4 or 5 times so that it really gets a good penetration on this, and then I'll set it up and let it cure. But this has been a fun project. It's pretty quick and easy, and we'll see you next time. I appreciate y'all watching.